You can shut the lights down and say, "Yep, got to play tomorrow when the pitchers are eligible."
There you go.
Yeah.
Need lights and sprinklers, but we don't have sprinklers on the turf.
That's right.
You
Some
could just,
places have sprinklers on the turf.
I've told those park guys not to have them shut off automatically, and I don't know, I just don't have any control over it. I think it's 4 o'clock. I think we can get this
I
meeting
think
called to
we'll get the show
order.
on the road.
I think everybody's here.
This conference will now be recorded.
First thing on our agenda is I need a motion for the approval of the minutes of the January 11th, 2021 regular park board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got it. We got a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. John, you want to do roll call for us, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Corey,
Aye.
Mr. Metzger,
Aye.
Mr. Mecklenburg,
Aye.
Mr. Denny.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
Approval of claims. Approval of claims in fund general in the amount of $81,252.28 and non-reverting fund claims in the amount of $2,705 for a total of $83,957.28. Motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved second. Any discussion? Hearing none. We'll have the roll call, please.
Ms. Corey,
Aye.
Mr. Metzger,
Aye.
Mr. Mecklenburg,
Aye.
Mr. Denny.
Aye.
Claims are approved.
Very good. Superintendent's report.
Yep, we have several things going on for you today. So the first thing on our list is a Loeb Stadium project update. And John's going to share some information with you.
They continue to work right along. A lot of the outside work is wrapping up, and they are working very hard to get all of the inside spaces done. I know they have done a final cleaning on the home locker rooms, so those are complete except for to go in and be punched out. A lot of snow and ice over there, obviously in the last week. It's cool, getting a little bit colder. They were on site last week installing the equipment to operate the video board. We've got some training on that scheduled for this week, although I don't know if they're quite going to be ready for that. They did have the video board on last week with images up on it. So we do have a working video board. So we're excited to get to that next part. And we are tracking toward the completion of the project. So things continue to move right along over there.
Hopefully everybody has been able to do some drive-bys and see the progress just with the cleanup. Each week the contractors are required to start cleaning up their work areas. So as their time spent in the stadium working on things is starting to dwindle, we're going to see less contractors over there, but more cleanup and more clean spaces. So that's very exciting. And then John, you want to share a little bit about what took place over there a week ago?
Yes. So I think as most everyone was aware, the Purdue baseball team was able to come out and practice on the turf. We had the turf used for the first time on Friday, January, I think that was the 29th. And then they did also come out on that Saturday afternoon, January 30th, before the snow hit later in the afternoon to get outdoors. Hopefully at some point in time here within the next 2 or 3 weeks, the temperatures will warm up and the snow and ice will go away and allow them to come back outside. But they were excited to use it. We were excited to have them. We had all positive feedback from Coach Goff and their players on the facility. They're very impressed with it, and we're very excited to get outside in January. So we are looking forward to hopefully having them back over sometime soon.
It was very exciting. And I wanted to thank Dave for coming out and giving me a hard time out there, but also for watching some early baseball. It was really nice. And it was nice to see the Jeff crew out there. There were a lot of folks from Jeff that just wanted to participate in the excitement. And that's always such a nice feeling. It's a great facility. And I know that John has gotten a few phone calls from other interested parties that are kind of expressing their interest in maybe using that facility. And that's exactly what we're after, is for it to get used. So very exciting. Thank you, John. Memorial Island is the next project update that I have for you. And it's definitely cold and snowy today. So we only have a few electricians that are working on site in the stage room, or that holding room behind the actual stage. And I'm glad they're working in that space where they can get some shelter. The rest of the crew is actually off site, and we were made aware of that last week by the contractor that they would not be on site this week due to the cold temperatures and just the exposure. So we definitely understand that, and that's not delaying our project in any way. What they have gotten accomplished that you can actually see is most of the seawall block has been installed. Some of the limestone cap has been put on, and then they're actually stabilizing that seawall on the backside with some number 53s, I think it is, gravel. And so they were working diligently on that all of last week, and then using the geotech fiber to wrap that. So there'll be soil that goes on top of that rock, and then there'll be plantings on top of that. So you won't see it, but they've been very busy doing that. They also started prepping for the footers for the shade sails, and those footers are huge. As you could imagine, the shade sails that go in front of the stage area. And those shade sails require some very long, large posts that will go on the ground, which subsequently the footers are absolutely huge. So they were working on prepping for that last week. And they are also doing some cleanup around the edges as well. And I know that more electrical is going on in the pump house area. And I use that term kind of loosely. I should say pump location. We do have some pumps that will be going into the lagoon area to help with that water movement and getting it pushed towards the natural filtration area. And those pumps are located in the northeast corner, and they actually will go in a concrete walled pit, just like we have over at our aquatics areas. So they're continuing to work, but this week it's just a little too chilly for them. Let's see, the next item is the Carousel construction project. The building is really coming along very nicely. They've been finishing some exterior masonry, and it was tented there for a while. It looks like they've nearly completed that. There is a gas line relocation that needs to happen, but again, the cold temps this week are preventing that from occurring. So we're hopeful that that will be able to get completed next week or soon thereafter. Then there will be some additional outside work that can be completed as weather allows in that area. There's where that gas line's located. There's a walk that needs to go in, as well as some swales and landscaping. And there's some storm and sanitary structures that need to be lowered. And there's even some brick paver work that will need to be completed and wrapped up as temperatures allow. Inside, they've been working on more electrical work. It really is amazing. They installed the actual people doors, the access doors. I know all of you have seen the big garage style overhead doors that will be lifted, but in two locations, there are people doors that people will access if the weather doesn't allow those large garage doors to be in the up position. So those doors finally came in and were being installed at the end of the week last week, but the painting on the interior looks just fabulous. And they started the installation of the casework for the countertops, and that color just makes everything pop. We picked some pretty bright colors for that, and we're awaiting the glass countertops that will set on top of that casework. So it looks really, really nice. And if you would like to see inside the building, please let us know. Even on a cold day like today, we are willing to walk over there and let you see inside. It's beautiful. That's going to conclude our project updates. I'm going to turn it over to Samantha, and she's going to dazzle you with her marketing report.
Thank you. Okay, so over the last month, we have had a couple of media appearances. Our zoo education director, Amber, conducted an interview with WLFI regarding our zoo teen program, which is now accepting applications. So we were really happy to be able to promote that. We were able to have WLFI on site for Purdue's first practice at Loeb Stadium on January 29th. The mayor joined us, and we were able to do an interview with him there on site. So that was really exciting. As John mentioned, we had a lot of positive feedback from the community about that. And we were really pleased to see the level of excitement within the community. It was just awesome to see. Mm-hmm. Other things to share, working internally to solidify Art in the Park dates for this summer. So hopefully I should be able to share those at our next meeting. I've been very excited about that. We are also working internally on our 2021 Fun Guide and our 2020 annual report. So my goal is to have both of those things ready to share at our next board meeting. And finally, just to give a social media update, in the last month, we've gained over 100 new followers on Facebook, putting us at almost 10,400 followers. Our Instagram has gained more than 50 new followers, putting us just over 2,400. Our Twitter is still in the same ballpark area, just over 3,900. But we have some exciting giveaway ideas that we plan to implement this month to see if we can push ourselves and get up to that 4,000 marker. Our TikTok is still averaging just over 200 followers. And I've been brainstorming like crazy with our interns for new content ideas. So we should be able to start turning those out this week. And just to take a look at the zoo's social media, in the last month, we've had 42 additional Facebook followers, which brings us to 16,767 followers, which is quite a bit. We have had 10 new followers in the last month on Twitter, bringing us to 1,609 followers. We've had 10 new followers in the last month on Instagram, bringing us to 1,804 followers. And lastly, I just wanted to share a highlight a top performing post going back again to the Purdue practice at Loeb Stadium. That Facebook post where we shared a bunch of great photos reached almost 12,000 people. So that was really exciting for us. And again, just a lot of really awesome positive feedback on that post and our media appearances regarding that practice. So I think that's all I have to share.
So Samantha, did we coordinate that with Purdue? Did they, is that primarily through our efforts or through a combination of us and Purdue that we got to 12,000?
That was all on us, actually. So that was pretty awesome.
That's absolutely amazing. So is there a way to coordinate that with, Purdue alums with, because there'll be a lot of Purdue alums in the area who might not be on our radar, but that would find us through that.
Yeah, they actually had some, I'm not sure if they were just staff members or maybe interns on site that were taking video that day. And so we were able to share on Twitter. They did a lot of posts with different video footage and photos. So we were able to share those on our Twitter feed, just kind of retweeting And those performed really well. We gained several followers from just sharing what Purdue had posted alone. So absolutely. And I was able to talk quite a bit with Coach Goff, and he is super down to earth and loved the idea of working with us to promote the fact that they were there at Loeb. So I think we can definitely collaborate with them in the future.
Awesome. Thanks. Good job.
Any other questions for Samantha? Okay. My next item is related to another agenda item that's coming up after my report, the approval of the 2021 fees and charges. And I just want to share with you that, we've spent a lot of time doing a lot of research with, the rental facilities and all the new amenities that we're going to be offering soon. And I think it's going to be time to review the resolution that we drafted and modified last in 2015, but I think it's time to take a closer look at that. And that is the resolution that really is the alcohol use policy in our parks facilities. And through our research, we did develop an internal committee to look at our rental fees. And over time, it became very apparent to us that there's a lot of other parks departments and facilities that do allow alcohol use in their rentals and have done so successfully. So I think it's important for us to take a look at that and discuss that. And I have mentioned that to President Denny, that I think it's time to go ahead and take a look at that. And I know Maury has developed a committee as a result of that. So Maury, did you have anything you would like to add?
Well, I would just say that, we have asked Matt Metzger and Pat Corey to start working with the park staff on this project. And I know they've already had a meeting or two, and we're anxiously awaiting a report back. We just think it's something that we need to look at. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay. And then finally, we've been chugging along with our virtual meetings, and we're going to explore that a little further and see just how much longer we're able to meet virtually. So just a heads up on that. We'll see if next month we might not be meeting in person, but we'll be sure to keep the board informed as that develops. Okay. Anybody have any questions for me? Okay, that concludes my report.
Okay, the next item on our agenda that we will need a motion and a second for is approval of the 2021 fees and charges, which is attachment A. And I don't know if we can get this at the bottom of the screen to be moved down to those attachments or not, if we have anyone happen to be watching today.
John can do that.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
A move and second. We've had a motion to first and a second. Discussion, questions that people might have.
Okay.
I might
Any
just say,
highlights? Go ahead, Pat. Sorry.
sorry, I was muted when I started talking. So as I recall, we actually proposed some fees for last year, right? And we decided to pause that because of the pandemic. Am I right on that?
That is correct. And so specifically, the Tropcanoe Cove fee was definitely something. And I know over the past few years, the mayor has certainly put out there in the public that it's going to become necessary to charge a fee at the zoo. And so I want to commend my team for really spending a lot of time doing research and gathering input so that way we could come up with a comprehensive document to present to you today. And I think this is very reflective. So our committee consisted of myself, John, Jenny, Kirk, and then Neil had certainly a part and a role in the zoo research to get us the zoo information that we needed. So the document on the screen before you, we're going to start with the Columbian Park Zoo. And this is obviously something that we didn't take very lightly. The zoo has been a non-fee zoo for a very long time and has relied on tax dollars to operate. And now simply we're getting to the point where the exhibits that were constructed in phase 1 and phase 2 are requiring a lot of maintenance. We're having a tremendous use from the zoo or from our patrons at the zoo, and that causes wear and tear on our exhibits and just our infrastructure. So we felt very strongly that now's the time that we need to go ahead and begin charging a nominal fee for zoo entry. Now, one of the positive things that I can certainly share with you is that these rates that we have selected, Neil did a lot of research. Recently, of course, I was at the zoo for years as zoo director. And so we knew that the community loves their zoo, and we want to have a fee that's low enough that really doesn't exclude a lot of people. This rate is the lowest rate of all the zoos that we looked at with regards to research. And Neil did an excellent job of putting it in a table format for us. We looked at community sizes that were similar in population. We looked at zoo sizes that were similar because obviously we're a small 6-acre facility. And so we can't expect to charge a fee for a zoo that's 45 acres in size. So I will share with you some of the other zoos that we did look at. So we looked at the Children's Zoo in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We looked at Mesker Park Zoo. We looked at Scoville Zoo in Decatur, Illinois. We looked at the Potawatomi Zoo in South Bend. We also looked at Miller Park Zoo in Bloomington, Illinois, the Sunset Zoo in Manhattan, Kansas, Peoria Zoo in Peoria, Illinois, the Children's Zoo, I think it's Children's Zoo at Celebration Square in Saginaw, Michigan, the Children's Zoo at Lincoln, Nebraska, and the Potter Park Zoo in Lansing, Michigan. And some of these rates range from $15 for adults to the least expensive one is Lansing, Michigan at $4 for an adult. So I'm going to rattle off some pricing for you for adult rates at the zoos that I've just shared with you. $15, $9.50, $7.50, $10, $6.95, $5.50, $10.50, $5, $13.95, and then the $4. So you can see we are proposing a $3 entry fee. We have a $2 fee for children. Thanks, John.
You are welcome.
You can go back to our other document.
Okay.
Itchy trigger finger. So you can see that we were proposing $2 for children ages 3 to 12 years, and then seniors $2.50 charge, and then children ages 2 years and under, no charge. Now, to help offset that, we have had a membership program that has been in existence for decades. Actually, it's now operated through the Parks Foundation. And of course, the concept is that you purchase a zoo membership and you're able to have zoo entry. So again, we didn't want to exclude anybody with our pricing, but you can see what the zoo membership rates are there. For an individual, it would be $25 in 2021, and for a family, it would be $50. And then Samantha or John, can you guys maybe pull up the document that has the zoo membership information?
John,
Yeah. I do not have that document.
So we'll move forward, but the zoo membership information we'll have before the end of this report. And what I just want to be able to show you is the number of people and the types of benefits that individuals would receive for that. So while it was a difficult decision, we feel that it's a necessary decision. And the whole goal, again, is to provide a quality experience for our visitors. And we feel that we're able to do that. I will tell you that being a zoo person for over 25 years and serving as the zoo director, of course, I've attended numerous conferences and seminars and networked with just some fantastic zoo directors all over the country. And there are just a handful of small zoos, and charging an admission fee really does help that operating budget. It helps make sure and ensure that the quality of care that everybody is receiving and the quality experience is a high level. In addition, you reduce that vandalism. And unfortunately, we have encountered vandalism at our facility, and charging a nominal fee is going to help reduce that. We do anticipate our attendance at about 100,000 visit Columbian Park. So we know that a large portion of those individuals do visit the zoo. It's difficult for us to track attendance other than our our monitored exhibits, where we're able to use counters and identify the number of visitors. But we do anticipate having a significant number of individuals that regularly visit. And we think that being able to offer a membership package really is a very enticing program for individuals, and it makes it more affordable. So I'm not sure where any of our documents just went. So, okay. So while we wait for John to get the documents,
I was trying to open my email to put up that Zoom membership form on in my email.
Well, we can do that before we're finished, but this is a very important fee that we're imposing. And again, I feel that it's a very nominal fee from the research that we've done and we've presented. It is the cheapest fee around. So at this time, I would really like to hear any feedback that any of you have with regards to zoo admission.
Pat, you're muted.
Thanks. Sorry. Did you read my lips? So I'm going to ask the ever unpopular question, just to get it out on the table, which is, are we charging enough? So did you work with Tim and the controller's office? Is this going to have the necessary impact? I see Jeremy's with us today.
That's right.
Jeremy, you want to chime in?
Anything's better than nothing, but I think I wasn't part of a lot of the discussion. I think Claudine and the mayor probably sat down and did a lot of this in terms of coming up with an appropriate quantity. But I had a question myself about the age, the onset of the fee at 3. Was there some discussion or reasoning behind that?
That is usually an industry standard. And so we incorporated that industry standard here.
Is that because they start using more services at that point, or
that is exactly correct? Yep.
Okay.
So
You're working.
You really can't, I guess I suppose you could start charging their 2-year-olds, but they're really just not participating in a lot of programs. They're not using, the restroom regularly. They're not putting a lot of wear and tear on your facilities. So it's a courtesy to go ahead and start at the 3-year mark. And to answer your question specifically, Jeremy wasn't on the tail end of that, but we had discussions. You know, this is just like the mayor has shared previously publicly that, you know, this isn't a new concept, charging admission, and we did our very darndest to prolong it as long as we could. But charging a fee is something that has been discussed for a very long time. And we feel like now is the time that's the best for us to go ahead and move forward with these nominal fees. And you're right, Pat, the question does beg, you know, is $3 enough? Is $2 enough? Is $2.50 enough? And, you know, where we are with the master plan implementation at the zoo, we do feel that that is an appropriate fee to charge. We do know that the penguins are coming, and that is a wonderful exhibit that will be added. And then there will be future exhibits that we will continue to implement that we conceptually drafted the master plan many years ago. So again, these fees will help offset those operational costs. They'll help ensure long-term maintenance. They will help in a variety of ways, which I'm sure Jeremy is clicking his heels, that it helps reduce that tax burden for us and utilizing our operating budget. So the whole goal is to be able to maintain what we have and provide a high quality experience.
Well, in the past, 2020 is probably not a good measuring stick, but like 2019, do we know how many folks utilized the zoo that were not zoo members?
Sure, that's really easy because we actually currently have fewer than 200 zoo members right now. And if you think about it, you know, zoo membership, what can we offer when you're not charging an admission fee? So we really focused on discounts to our education programs, special event sneak peeks, and opportunities that we could provide. And, you know, that's difficult in itself. And I certainly want to commend the zoo staff and the marketing team for being able to maintain roughly 200 members. In its heyday, zoo membership a very long time ago, you know, had 1,400 members when the old zoo, if you will, before we implemented the master plan for the new zoo. So we also, like I mentioned to you earlier, in 3 specific exhibits, there's an attendant there that keeps track via counter how many people come through that exhibit. Now, they don't track individual visits, they will track how many people are coming through the exhibit. So to be transparent, you could have the same family go through that exhibit 3 times within a 2-hour period, and they will be counted 3 times. I don't have the report in front of me from 2019, but that would be the last year that we'd want to look very closely at. But historically, there's roughly 100,000 people that will pass through the wallaby exhibit and the family farm exhibit and then the butterfly exhibit. So you're talking about 100,000 visitors. That's pretty significant. I know one year we had even 112,000 go through, and you have roughly 200 members that are participating in a program that aren't even getting an admission discount.
So the timing of this, I'm not muted. Okay. So the timing of this to correspond with the introduction of the penguins is really key, you know, to me, because that's really going to be a key value add for the zoo.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. And as we get a little bit farther down, you'll see we've come up with some other discount options to kind of bundle this together. We know that the zoo is a community resource. It's a quality of life opportunity that's unique to our community. I mean, if you think about it, there's not a lot of communities our size that do have a high quality zoo like ours is. And, you know, one of the primary goals with the development of the master plan was to essentially attain AZA accreditation, which is a very high level membership organization that we are implementing many standards and adhering to these standards, so that way when the time comes for us to apply for accreditation, it's easier for us. So not only are we adhering to our USDA standards and other operational standards, but we're adhering to standards of a membership organization that we're not currently members of, but we are striving to become a member of.
Mhm.
Any other questions on that one? Okay. So if we scroll down a little bit, you can see that we did not have any changes with the rental facilities at the DeVal Education Center at the zoo. Aquatics. John, you want to talk a little bit about your season pass? That's one of the references that Pat did make.
Yes, so last year, for 2020, we had presented to the board an increase in the season pass rates to go along with the increase in the other fees that we instituted in 2020, where we raised the daily admission rates to $9 and $7 due to the pandemic. In the shortened season at Tropcanoe Cove, we came back to the board, I believe, in the first meeting in June, and asked the board to reduce that rate back to the 2019 rate, which was $100 for the first pass and then $30 for each additional family member. And then if you'll remember at the end of last season as well, as our season was again kind of about almost 4 weekends shy of what we anticipated, again due to the pandemic, we did offer those season pass holders who purchased a season pass in 2020 the opportunity to roll their pass into 2021 at no additional cost, and the large majority of those season pass holders did take advantage of that. But we would ask the board for 2021 to again increase that season pass rate to $150 for the first pass and $50 for each additional family member.
And John, can you talk about the number of participants in that program that we?
Yeah, so last year we had we sold 205 of the primary passes, and then we had 214 of the additional family member passes that were sold in 2020. And in 2019 we had 191 of the primary passes, and I believe it was 233 of the additional season passes sold in 2019. So it's a fairly popular program. We do sell a lot of season passes, and so we're excited about the opportunity to continue offering that.
Any questions on that one? Okay. We have no changes at Castaway Bay. No changes at Benton Pool. And then this is a new rollout. And I'm going to let Samantha share with you the new Columbian Park Pass.
Yeah, so we modeled the structure of the Columbian Park Pass off of the Tropcanoe Cove Season Pass, which, as we just looked at, has the base price of $150 for the first pass and $50 for each additional family member. Basically, we wanted to find a way to add in the zoo family membership at a discounted rate. So normally the zoo family membership would be the $50 that we looked at previously. We have thrown it into the Columbian Park Pass for $35. You will also still get all of the benefits of a regular zoo family membership, plus some additional perks that we have added in, which you can see here. So we worked with the aviators to come up with a buy one, get one free ticket to an aviators game. when we get the paddle boats in, we're really excited to be able to give a ride pass for up to 4 people. And then we also came up with 10% off of the base rental of a Columbian Park rental facility. So that could be Rush Pavilion, that could be a picnic shelter, that could be Memorial Island. And then, as I mentioned, you would get both the Tropinu Cove admission as well as the zoo admission.
So the information that you can see under the additional zoo membership benefits, which Samantha just went over and shared with you, essentially that's the document that John was looking for to show those membership benefits. Any questions on that one?
The question that I have is on the free ticket to the Aviators game. Is that a one time, or is that for every game?
That would be one time, just like the paddle boat and the 10% discount.
So
One-
single use.
Mm-hmm.
We might want to put single use after that. Free
Noted.
ticket to Aviators, clear that up. I think without it, it sort of makes it. The 2 people that have made the motion and seconded it, or do you agree with that? Can we do that?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. I think some clarity needs to be there on single use, single member, or like, for instance, my family. So I get a pass and then 5 additional family members. So I get 1 Aviators ticket, 6 Aviators tickets, 6 paddle boat rides, 1 paddle boat ride. I think some clarity there.
Yeah, is it 1 game or 1 ticket? I think that's the.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We can
So,
clarify.
And I have a question about administering this. You guys have a way to keep track of all this stuff by, how are you going to do that? I mean, I assume you do, or you wouldn't have done this, but.
Yeah,
Just
we
have to
already do.
Okay.
We already do.
Okay. Well,
Any
I
other
like it because I just a comment. I like that. I like the sort of teaser aspect of getting people involved in more aspects of the park. So that's a good thing. And of aspects of the park that are monetized. So that's a good thing. So that's a good strategy from that perspective. I'm sure Jeremy likes that too. You're muted, Jeremy, but I can see your head going up and down.
Okay.
I'm with you, Pat.
Okay, Mcallister Recreation Center, we haven't changed anything there. Okay, on our shelter fees, we have proposed 2 changes, modifications. The orange shelter is located on what we affectionately call Deer Island, which is that peninsula, if you will, on the North Lagoon, just south of Scott Street. So it gets its name Deer Island because, of course, when I started here as a zookeeper a very, very long time ago, there were 3 white-tailed deer on that island that were exhibited there. Since the deer have left, the fences have come down, of course, and a gazebo was constructed. And it's a small gazebo, but I will share with you that it has held numerous small weddings, which has actually been an okay venue. But now that we are making all the improvements to the Memorial Island and surrounding lagoon areas, we feel that the use is definitely going to increase, and the area around it, we're making improvements to that island itself to accommodate such things as small weddings. And therefore, as a result, that fee really needs to increase as well. So we're proposing a fee of $100 for the rental of that gazebo on Deer Island. The second modification that we're proposing, is the green shelter, which is also a similar size shelter. And that shelter is located essentially halfway down the pathway between the parking lot off of Scott Street and the entrance to Tropicanoe Cove. That is a very popular shelter because of its close proximity to Tropicanoe Cove. It gets rented many, many times. And again, because of its premium location, just like the Orange Shelter's premium location, we feel that it's appropriate to increase that fee just slightly to $100. Okay. Now we get into some really exciting opportunities. Again, with the improvements that are going on with Memorial Island Phase 3 project, the Rush Pavilion, we took a very close look at Rush Pavilion. And the tricky part for this one is that project is slated to be completed in early June. And we have had many, many, many calls of people that are interested in renting the facility after it's completed, although we do have rentals in it right now. And then also people know that it's going to be amazing and beautiful when it is completed, and they're looking at rentals already for 2022. So we knew that we were going to have to increase the rental fees. We did keep our rental timeframes the same. That seems to work for us. Of course, we recognize that we may be chartering some new territory here with the beautifications that we have implemented and the resulting interest in rentals. So we may have to modify that in the future as well. For now, we're keeping the rental shifts, if you will, the same, but we are going to propose an increase to reflect the improvements that are being made to this facility around it, beginning July 1st. And we thought that was fair because before July 1st, we anticipate it being completed in June, but you know how sometimes construction projects go. So we didn't want to charge a rate and still have construction fences up and plants, not planted. So the fee that we're proposing is an increase of $75 to $325 for a 5-hour rental. All day, we're merely reflecting that combined shift rate of $650. We are proposing that we increase the security deposits. Again, these facilities are very nice. We want to maintain them. We want people to enjoy a high quality experience. When they do rent it, we have had a few challenges with the lower security deposit where people have not been respectful, and we've had to charge them for misuse. We also are increasing the early access hourly rate and our late fee charges as well. The other amenity that we have designed into this whole rental experience is the beautiful pergola, which is outside the Rush Pavilion to the north. And we've designed that such that you could have an outdoor wedding. It will be beautifully landscaped. There will be a lawn area, a small lawn area in front of that, and it's adjacent to the paver grand entrance. But it is directly north of Rush Pavilion, and it will be beautifully landscaped, as I've mentioned, and it really can be a very nice add to your Rush Pavilion rental. And we have determined that that rate is going to be $175 for a 5-hour time period. So you could rent Rush Pavilion, and you could also rent the pergola, and we would be able to define your rental space, and those could be your exclusive use. Now, if someone chooses to rent Rush Pavilion and not rent the pergola, well, then the pergola in that lawn area would also separately be available for rent. The other thing that our internal committee came up with were some other additional options, and they're still exploring those, but things like a sound system, a portable sound system, if someone needs that, that may be available for additional fee. We're also exploring some possible partnerships with some other local companies that may be able to provide amenities for weddings and small special events such as tables and chairs, where we wouldn't be responsible for setting any of that up, but it is another opportunity that makes for a smoother rental experience for our renter. So we will be coming back to you with some additional information as those partnerships pan out. But it is very exciting to be able to use local resources for people who want to keep keep their weddings right here in Lafayette.
So
Any questions on Rush Pavilion?
I don't think this seems self-evident, but I apologize to Claudine if she doesn't want me to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is eventually going to connect, obviously, with the alcohol policy, right? So, so that's an example of the amenities, right? That's an example of an amenity that would be coming down the line. But I have a general, just sort of philosophical question. For these, and then also for the shelters, do we find that people typically max out the number of attendees that can be accommodated? Is that typical for these?
Well, Rush Pavilion is a pretty small facility inside, but with the outside venues that are added, the pergola and the area outside, that really can enhance someone's number of attendees that they can have. So it really is wonderful what we've done with this design process. So, you know, the capacity for Rush Pavilion is a pretty low number, and that's specific to the inside of Rush Pavilion. So you could max that out quite easily with a graduation party. But we work very closely with the fire department on determining that appropriate capacity and making sure that it's safe for everyone. So to answer your question, is it easy to max that out? Well, if you're looking at the specific interior of Rush Pavilion, yeah, you could max that out. But with the outdoor spaces added in and people flowing about, then it increases your capacity and it is in compliance with the standards that are what we adhere to.
So from a monetization perspective, is it sort of a best practice to charge a flat fee for a facility that has a lot of potential variability with attendance, or is there sometimes an attendance component to that fee?
Well, as we get farther along in this document, you'll see that you know, one of the things that we could consider is an attendance, but with these smaller venues, I would not recommend that.
Okay.
So it's better to go with a flat fee, because then you're talking about, okay, do we have to employ someone to go over there and get a head count every hour? And that's just not very practical.
Okay.
So we do have somewhat of an honor system here. You know, everything's posted appropriately with regards to capacity. Our team members are trained to go over that information with our renters. Security personnel is on top of that situation as well. And I can honestly say, you know, the challenge where the groups get really large is over at the shelter rentals when you've got multi-generational reunions going on. And everybody's coming in for a finite period of time, but everybody seems to be very respectful of Rush Pavilion.
So I was actually thinking back, apologies, I wasn't clear. I was actually thinking back to the shelters as well, because that could create an expense problem for the parks if the attendance gets out of hand. And also that's going to be more, you know, just wear and tear on the grounds and restrooms and blah, blah, blah. So just sort of, I hadn't really thought of it until I saw this and started thinking about the kinds of parties that go on. So, okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, any other additional questions on that one? Okay, then we'll scroll down. Vanna. Okay, well, as I mentioned earlier about the shelter or the little gazebo that is located on Deer Island. Oops, I forgot Memorial Island. So Memorial Island, sorry, I was jumping ahead. Memorial Island, we now will have this beautiful stage and shade sail covered area where we can hold not only weddings, but we could have band concerts, and we could have groups that want to have a church service out there. We could have all kinds of events and rentals to really turn that into a smaller multi-use facility. Again, our capacity for this particular area with the fixed seating and the lawn seating is about 750 to 1,000 people. And that does incorporate that lawn space behind the fixed seating. So we definitely want this area to be used. So again, we did our research, came up with some rental fees. This one's a little bit tricky because it's a wide open theater area, but we feel that there are some different user groups that will be interested in renting that. We stuck with the 5-hour rental shifts, again, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. or the 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. For that, we're proposing a $250 fee. All day fee, the 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. is just the combined 2 shifts. We did add a security deposit to that. And again, other fees may apply depending on use. We have a fantastic lighting system and a fantastic sound system at that facility. However, we definitely want to maintain control of that, so it's not going to be a situation where the user will have access to that equipment. It will be available potentially for use to a renter. However, there will be a cost associated with that, and that cost will actually cover a technician fee. So we want to maintain the integrity of all of our equipment, make sure it's being properly used, but we want to make sure that we're charging fees that are covering our costs as well. So again, that will be a future fee once we have completed our research. And there are other similar kinds of things. If someone wanted to have some kind of formal event up on the stage and they were in need of tables or chairs or whatever, again, that third local party partnership may come into play if that comes to fruition. Any questions on Memorial Island? Okay, then we'll move on to Deer Island and the gazebo there, of course. Now, Deer Island can be turned into an exclusive area for rent. Again, what you recall seeing in the fall, it's going to look dramatically different in the summer when this project is completed. There will be trees and it'll be landscaped. And of course, we've increased the island size a little bit with the installation of that beautiful seawall. So we've developed some fees in mind for folks that may want to have an outdoor wedding there. We've even discussed internally and gotten some specifications from a local company that does supply tents that we can develop our own anchor points out there, and an outdoor tent could be set up without tearing up the landscaping or the grass out there. So it really is a wonderful outdoor venue, and it can become an exclusive event space because it can be easily closed off at the bridge. So we have 5-hour rental fee of $200 is what we're proposing, and an all-day rental fee of $400. The orange shelter, if you just want to rent the shelter only, it's $100. And similarly with the list that we're developing is, there may be other fees that may apply depending on use. We might be able to actually have a sound system out there, or whatever else needs to be out there. But we think that's a really unique setting and a really creative opportunity, and I think it will be just beautiful.
The question that I have here that's I guess is, if I have exclusive use of Deer Island, I pay the $400.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include the shelter or doesn't include the shelter?
It does. You get the whole kit and caboodle.
Then why would we, I think it's misleading to have that orange shelter only there. We have it up above anyway. I just,
Okay, so if we
Because
were to delete it from,
it looked like to me
delete it
probably.
right there.
Have to pay another $100. I'm thinking, how can that happen?
Mhm. But if we delete it right there, then that clears it up?
I think it does. I don't know how the other board members feel.
Or even note orange shelter is included?
Well, it would be fine to put shelter included, but I still would eliminate the $100 there. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Yep, we can do that. Good point,
Pat.
Maureen. Thank you.
Was it Pat and Matt that gave the first and second on this? You feel all
Yes.
right about that?
Yeah, I like that, Maury. It makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that one? Okay, then we'll scroll down to the clubhouse. We do have a change there that we're proposing an increase of $25 for that 5-hour rental, which is going to result in an all-day rental increase of $50 from our previous. And we're also proposing an increase in the security deposit. We have seen an increase in the number of rentals down there, so we feel that that increase rate is appropriate, and then to be in alignment with our other security deposits where we've had some challenges, we felt that it was prudent to go ahead and increase that as well. Subsequently, the late charge is also being increased by $10 for every 15 minutes. Similarly, additional fees that may apply depending on use, sound system, whatever is needed down there. The clubhouse has been rented for a variety of special events, primarily walks, runs, those types of things, but it has also been popular for birthday parties, family gatherings, just a variety. And I will share that Samantha's attention to that area and getting us some top-notch photos has really helped to promote that area. There is a lot of nostalgia on that facility, is how I'm going to word that. It's got a little age on it, but it still is an affordable option, and you get a lot for it. The biggest challenge with that location, of course, is it's in the floodplain. So you've got some challenges with accessibility if we've had a lot of rain. Any questions on the clubhouse? Okay, and we're going to go down to Loeb Stadium, and we spent a lot of time on this one because it's a unique event space. It really is, and our team worked very hard to do a lot of research with other facilities, factoring in community size, age of other facilities, the number of suites that are offered. And, you know, our desire and directive from the mayor, you know, he wants it to be a multi-use facility. We want to make sure that it's affordable, yet we're able to cover our costs and make sure that we are able to continue to maintain it. So we feel like we've been able to do that with these proposed fees. So I'm going to actually turn it over to John. John gets a little giddy when he talks about Loeb Stadium.
Except for this part of it. So you can see what we basically came up with are two separate types of events, athletic events and special events, you know, non-athletic. And our goal here was to, you know, give those athletic teams who might be interested in baseball or soccer an opportunity to be able to affordably play in Loeb Stadium when that stadium is available. And the NFP designation that you'll see on this part of the fees stands for not-for-profit. So you have a 4-hour rental without lights at $350, 4-hour rental with lights at $450. That would allow 2 teams to, play a doubleheader and split that cost. An all-day tournament, a not-for-profit all-day tournament at $1,000, and an all-day commercial tournament at $2,000. And all of those fees require a security deposit, which is 50% of the rental fee. One fee that we did want to make sure we included for the board to approve is the cleaning fee, knowing that stadium is obviously a first-class stadium, and our ability to keep it that way will mean we'll have to spend additional time cleaning it, especially after it is rented. And so there's a cleaning fee of $250 per 500 attendees. And again, as you've seen throughout the course of our fees for 2021, other fees may apply depending upon use. One example of that would be if a tournament, an all-day tournament would want the full use of the video board at Loeb Stadium and the ability to, use the instant replay and the cameras and load in, player photos and stats and advertising. There would be a fee for that, or they would essentially be paying for the personnel that would operate that video board. Again, that's a system that will require some bit of training on, and we'll want to maintain control of that and not just have anyone who believes they're qualified to operate the video board operate that. So that's an example of one fee that you may see. The all-day rates do include the playing field, the lights, and the public address system as well. And then we have the special events, non-athletic. We have an all-day event from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. That's a not-for-profit at $2,800. An all-day commercial event at $4,000. And then we have individual suite rates, both commercial and not-for-profit. Those are minimum 2-hour rentals, $75 per hour for the not-for-profit, $100 per hour for the commercial. A concourse rental where you can put tables and chairs out on the concourse, not-for-profit rate. Again, these are minimum of 2-hour rentals, $150 per hour. The commercial rate would be $200 per hour. Then we have, again, our cleaning fees, individual suite rate at $75 per suite, and then a cleaning fee for the if you were renting multiple suites or for the entire stadium at $250 per 500 attendees. Other fees, again, may apply depending upon use. Some examples of that may be, if you're having a corporate function at the stadium and you would like a presentation playing across the video board, or a company logo on the video board, or use of the video board for other purposes, or tables and chairs perhaps would be included in those other fees. The all-day events, again, do include the field, the lights, public address, and suite access. Of course, any event that is taking place in Loeb Stadium will have to, all those require a 50% deposit, and all of those will be subject to a use agreement with particularly if they're going to be on the field, of what is permitted and what is not permitted on the playing field in order to keep the turf in first-rate shape.
Okay, I'll call you back, okay?
So those are the Loeb Stadium fees that we are proposing for 2021.
Does anyone have any questions?
Not directly on the fees, but maybe related. Are we getting inquiries already on using Loeb?
Yes,
We are.
several.
John,
Yes.
if Harrison wants to play McCutcheon there, is that a charge?
Well, we have we have spoken internally about that, and we have spoken to the mayor as well. And for local county high schools, the mayor is interested in coming up with a way for them to use the field at a point where, we're not losing any money. And that could very well be where, maybe just the cleaning fee, since we will have, custodial use for bathrooms and obviously cleaning. So that is something that we're still right now discussing internally as a way to accommodate, particularly Tippecanoe County high schools and local teams with their interest in playing at Loeb Stadium. We certainly, again, we want the field to be used, but there will be cost associated with any event inside that stadium. So I think that's our main concern is finding out what that fee and what that charge may be. And we're discussing internally, and we'll go back to the mayor for more input, and then obviously the board for input as well.
So for this purpose, a school is not a not-for-profit.
No, a not-for-profit would be perhaps an example would be the Lafayette Colt Tournament Committee that used to run the Colt World Series. Not that I don't want anyone to get excited that the Colt World Series may be coming back to Loeb Stadium, because that's certainly not the case at this point in time. But that would be an example of a not-for-profit tournament that they're putting on that benefits the community as well, and want to use Loeb Stadium for their multi-day tournament.
So to Dave's point, the policy at this point covers not-for-profit and commercial, but it does not yet have its school arm or its school schedule.
Yes,
Yes.
I would say that is
John?
accurate. Yes.
Don, this is not, don't take this question the wrong way, because I don't mean anything by it, but I do have another point with it. The cleaning fee for Lafayette Jeff, are they taking care of that, or is that just a part of their user agreement?
Well, we part of their user agreement, but we've had some preliminary discussions with Mr. Preston and Mr. Hernandez from Lafayette Jeff, and they have signaled their willingness to provide custodial support for Lafayette Jeff events at Loeb Stadium. So that would be part of their user agreement in terms of what they're going to provide for the stadium, and what we are going to provide for the stadium. So again, that was an early on conversation I believe we had last summer with Mr. Preston and Mr. Hernandez, but they have signaled that willingness to do so.
And I understand, I agree with that. That was kind of my next point. I think that anybody that uses the stadium, the cleaning fees, that if Central Catholic wants to play West Lafayette, that $250 cleaning fee, I think, should be implemented no matter what. There's no reason why the Parks Department nor the city or anybody else should have to forego that fee or absorb that fee. So I don't see a problem with putting a cleaning fee or a fee of that type with it. They might, but I mean, the place has to be cleaned. So I myself agree with the cleaning fee for those schools. So, and I also feel that any school in the area that wants to use that field should be allowed to use it, but charge a cleaning fee. That's just my opinion. So, that's.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. And I think that's important to, obviously, we would seek more board input, but we're, we certainly do want to be sensitive to the local community and local high schools and get those players and those teams in our community the opportunity to play at Loeb Stadium, and certainly to be a resource if we have a week of a lot of rain and they're trying to get games in, and you're able to play at Loeb Stadium, but you're maybe not able to play at Central Catholic High School because of the turf. And as long as we can arrange that with Lafayette Jeff's schedule and all the games that they have scheduled there, and their schedule is filling up as the stadium as more pictures get out of the stadium. What I think you're seeing at Lafayette Jeff happening is a lot of games that they had originally maybe scheduled to have play away. I think some of those schools are saying, you know, we'll come play you at your new $22 million baseball stadium. So
Well,
great
in
philosophy.
saying that, John, also with the field and the type of field we have here, there's no reason why a Lafayette Jeff is having an 8 o'clock game or a 4 o'clock game, and they're playing a single game. Another team could come in and play an 8 o'clock game.
No, absolutely. And we've had those discussions internally and with some of the other folks who have inquired about playing a game, particularly in the spring. You know, we've had a handful of universities who have inquired about that. And that was my point exactly, is that there's particularly, especially on the weekends, there's more time to play a baseball game than just, you know, at 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. that, you know, it is lit up fairly well over there you know, you could get a high school game in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon, and you could get 2 more games in the evening with the type of surface that we have. So.
Oh, so I was going to ask about that, John. I would think that universities and colleges would be yet a fourth category, maybe with some kind of break or special. I'm sure we'll have some kind of agreement with Purdue, but you know, Butler or you know, I can see other colleges looking at this.
Yes, I think for that purpose, you know, maybe this is where some more definition would be needed. You know, the not-for-profit rate that we're talking about now would include those type of events.
Okay, so you're thinking not-for-profit does include
A
colleges
college
and university.
Yes.
Okay, so we might want to specify that here. You know what these definitions are, what not-for-profit means, who that includes.
Maybe just the easiest thing to say, excluding local high schools.
Or yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, because I have the feeling that Purdue University can pay a good rate, because if a high school team wants to go over to Purdue and play, I mean, when we were hosting the semi-state, we were spending $30,000 a game or for a Saturday over there. So I mean, that's just, you know, I think Purdue's a little different, but I do agree with the local high schools. The thing is, like I think John was saying, getting games in through the week is probably not going to happen, because most Jeff games probably start at 6 o'clock because of travel. So unfortunately, that just about eliminates. But on the weekends, I think if facilities there, it ought to be used as much as it can possibly be used. You know, we had that belief at Jeff High School at the Schumann Stadium, so it shouldn't be anything new for the Jeff High School to understand, because that was our belief out there. But it was there, it ought to be used.
So I want to go back to excludes local high schools by define what local means, and also what does cover local high schools, and should that be on here?
Well, I think for our purposes, what we've talked about are Tippecanoe County high schools.
Okay, there you go. That's good. So that may be so any other school, and then so Tippecanoe County high schools, you might just say which are on a separate agreement or something, so it doesn't like they can't play here at all, just that the fee schedule excludes them. So not-for-profit includes Tippecanoe high schools, which are contracted separately. Yeah, there you go. Okay, something like that. Yeah.
John, is there a charge, specifically Loeb Stadium athletic events, 4-hour rental without lights, not for profit? What about those organizations that are, I guess, defined as commercial? They're not full, not for profit status. I mean, a lot of the schools have these youth programs, and maybe another question before you get to that. What dimensions of the field can even be played? Can youth programs use it? Is it just high school regulation and up? And if they're not a not-for-profit, if it's an academy, think of that, I guess, and or even soccer. There's some local soccer organizations that are for-profit businesses. What's their 4-hour rate?
Well, the 4-hour rate that are for-profit, their 4-hour rate would be, again, that would be something that would require a different you know, a different use. We typically don't see a commercial, you know, commercial rate like an academy. In what we have seen is the request to come in all day and play multiple games throughout the course of the day. So that we feel that will fall into, you know, the all day type of use for a commercial like an academy. You know, in the past, we've been approached by, you know, there are some organizations around Indianapolis that run different tournaments, you know, at different facilities throughout the country. And, you know, they schedule your facility and they invite teams from all over, and they charge a rate to come in. And so that would definitely fall in to a commercial. The local, you know, junior programs such as Junior Broncos or Central Catholic Squires would fall into that not-for-profit rate, where if they had a 14 and under team that wanted to play there, they would fall into that category of you know, $350 or $450. The field can be played at different lengths in terms of bases. The only base plugs that are part of the field now are the high school base plugs, but you can purchase bases that will grip that turf to set in at 80 feet, and that pitcher's mound is portable. So you can make that, you know, a pony league field, which is 54 feet for the pitcher's mound and 80 feet. And the bases, you can make it a Bronco field if you so choose to do so at, you know, 48 feet for a pitcher's mound and 70 feet for bases. And that just requires someone other than me to move that pitcher's mound, which is quite heavy. So, but you can also, as what we've seen a lot of the Pony League teams do, the 14 and under Pony League teams do lately, is they play at both. You know, they'll play some tournaments where they will play the Pony League dimensions, which is 54 and 80, but they'll play some where they'll play the high school dimensions, and it's really up to them. And we have gotten some inquiries from, you know, from some of these local, like you said, what essentially are high school feeder programs, Harrison and McCutcheon, and CC, who want to come in and you know, get their kids an opportunity to play in the game. And we felt that the 350 gives them an opportunity to, you know, play a doubleheader with another team and split that fee with the team. As we know, kids on those teams are likely paying a fee to go towards these tournament entry fees, and that would be a way for them to use the fee and to get on the field and have that experience at a relatively affordable rate. And again, the mayor is open to exploring other opportunities, there for local county, you know, youth teams,
Right.
To use that facility if it's available, you know, at a rate where, you know, we don't want them to break their programs or to charge their programs, but we certainly, again, as Dave pointed out, we have maintenance and cleaning in that field and that facility if they're going to use that. So, you know, we're open to continuing to look at that. Right, would include.
Right. And I also think it's very important right now to acknowledge, as I shared earlier, you know, this is a starting point for us. We've done our research. We're proposing these rates. We need to operate this facility. We need to see what it's like. We need to see what the interest is. We need to gauge what's going to happen. We've done all the projections that we can possibly do with how long it might take us to clean that facility. But until we live it and do it, you know, we may have to come back to you and tweak these rates, and then also bring additional rates or, you know, make modifications. So we know this is a living document and we recognize it.
And to be clear, the cleaning fee is charged regardless.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Okay, good.
John, this is a little off subject, but you mentioned the bases that grip the field, and also in softball, we'd have to have a removable fence. Is that something that these people would have to purchase, or is that going to be something you already have?
We don't have those bases, but we're looking at those those bases to purchase if it's something that is, going to be a need. We've also had discussions with Lafayette Jeff, who has expressed, a willingness to purchase some of those items as well, including these bases. Since they are one of the junior teams interested in using it, they've expressed some interest in, purchasing a few things for the facility that can be used at Loeb Stadium. A portable fence is not something that I think most teams coming in for a 4-hour rental are going to want to invest in putting up. Certainly, if it was, an all-day 12, an all-day tournament for 12 and under teams that was going to run multiple days, that may be something that they might look at doing if they wanted to bring in a portable fence that could certainly set out there in the outfield. But right now, it's going to hit it and run until you run until they throw you out.
And my next question, and I'll finish up, I'll shut my mouth. You and I can have these conversations because you and I have both the desire of that field. So if I was to rent that facility for a softball tournament, for a weekend softball tournament, and I purchased that fence, is that something that I could give to the Parks Department and you guys store and it'd be there for future use for anybody else? Or is that something?
If you purchased it and donated it,
Yes.
We could find some way to store it. We do feel we have ample storage right now at Loeb Stadium and that storage area that would be able to store that. And it may very well, depending upon how many times that was going to be used, it very well could be something that could be stored offsite and brought up to Loeb Stadium by.
I think my question is, I think that's just something that might happen in the future. People might purchase something and just donate to the park. I think that's all right. I'm done. I won't say no more.
Yes,
You're fine.
And we
appreciate the feedback. This is a big undertaking, huge.
Yeah, and we've had, as we said, we've had some inquiries from some multiple universities, I'll say, and one today even, and just talking in general about the fees, telling them that we didn't have fees that our board had to, but what range we were. That the feedback we got were that was a reasonable fee for their university to pay to come here to play to use the facility. And then that's Loeb. Any further questions on Loeb? And then we have one more set of fees to cover, and I'll cover those while we have them. These are our other sports facilities. We are requesting an increase from the board at Armstrong, the baseball fields, Crosser Sports Complex, Leibolt, and McCall. All these fields recently have seen varying degrees of improvement over the course of 2020. Certainly a lot of work at McCall. Armstrong had a lot of work done on one particular field this off season and has had field work done on fields 1 and 3 in the recent future. Leibolt had some improvements done with the batter's boxes at the softball fields, as well as new scoreboards here recently as well. So we feel that those, the investment that we've made as a department on those playing surfaces and our ability to keep those nice and make sure they're maintained properly justify an increase that you see there at $250 per field per day at Armstrong, Leibolt, and McCall, and $400 per field per day at Crosser Sports Complex.
I said I was going to keep my mouth shut, John, but I'm not.
Go ahead.
Crosser Sports Complex, same. What would happen if we had other high school need to use that same type? Is that same as Loeb would be, as if two high schools want to use it?
Yes, because we would have an agreement with Lafayette Jeff for them to play, and if there was a cleaning fee there that was required by the Parks Department, we would charge that the same for the high school. And we do have some inquiries from some not other high school programs, but some local junior high programs that are interested perhaps in using Crosser for some practices and games.
And last but not least, have you ever thought of a bundle package for Armstrong and McCall and Loeb in case somebody wants to throw a huge tournament?
No, we haven't. That's a good idea, and I do think it's something that we could probably look at and come up with if, you know, you had that 12 and under and wanted to do, you know, because then you would have 7 fields that you could potentially play on and save Loeb for maybe one day to get, you know, the championship games at one stadium.
And you have a possibility to like have a national tournament there too, where everything comes here. That's
Right.
really huge.
Yeah.
So I would just add, if there is going to be a school exception, I would make it part of the schedule. So on Crosser, if that's a different deal, let's just make sure that they're either excluded or I'm Matt, sorry, you're also on this motion, but assuming that's okay with my other seconding colleague over there, motion colleague.
I would agree. I agree, Pat.
With the wording that applies, we're talking about the fee schedule, not that they can't play there.
Right.
Sorry, you guys can't play. Yes, there you go.
And then those, you know,
Yeah.
And all those places do require a lease agreement with us and
Okay.
appropriate insurance.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
And those are the proposed fees and charges for 2021.
Do we have any other further questions for either Claudine or John? Then with the exceptions that we have asked for, is, guess we're ready for the vote then. John?
All right. Ms. Corey,
Aye.
Mr. Metzger,
Aye.
Mr. Mecklenburg. You're muted.
You're muted, Dave.
Mr. Mecklenburg.
Crap, aye.
Mr. Denny.
Aye.
Fees and charges, the motion is approved.
Okay. Well, thank you for all the hard work on that for our staff. I think it's a good deal that we've got started here. And I think Claudine said it right. It is a motion. It is a project that's, you know, we're going to be reviewing probably on a regular basis. So, okay, we are ready for the declaration of surplus property. John, we'll need a motion first.
Mhm.
Oh, I'd love to make that motion for you, Mr. Denny.
Thank
Surplus
Second.
property.
We have a motion, a second. I think we've all gotten information on that. I don't think we really need much discussion on this, John. I think we're really ready for, does any of the board have any questions?
I think you're making this way too easy, Maury. I know how well you like this part.
Well, I know, but I also know we've been at this for over an hour and a half. So, John, I think we're ready for the,
All right, Ms. Corey,
Aye.
Mr. Metzger,
Aye.
Mr. Mecklenburg,
Aye.
and Mr. Denny.
aye.
Motion
Then we
is
have,
approved.
then we have the declaration of worthless property, which has to do with, the Jinx Rest. I
Correct.
believe that's the one,
Mhm.
correct? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
I make
do I
I
have
make a motion.
for that?
Second?
I make the
Second.
motion.
Motion made and seconded. Anybody have any questions for either John or Claudine on this?
My only question,
none.
Maury, is there any difference between worthless and surplus for you?
No, there isn't.
Just Jeremy.
Ms. Corey,
Aye.
Mr. Metzger,
Aye.
Mr. Mecklenburg,
Aye.
Mr. Denny. Motion is approved.
Aye. Do we have any communications from the board?
I have one thing to say. as the snow fell this last week, they had great media coverage, or Facebook coverage of Murdoch Park of people going down to the park at midnight. So, you know, a huge crowd there that late at night. I thought that was wonderful to see because that slide, that place is, I like to see that snow sled being used, and I think it's great.
Hey, anybody else? Any public or written, John?
No.
I think we're ready for adjournment. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second? John?
Ms. Corey,
I,
Mr. Metzger,
Aye.
Mr. Mecklenburg,
Aye.
Mr. Denny.
Aye.
Meeting is
Thank you,
adjourned.
everybody. for
Thank you
your
all very
long-
much today. That was a long one. Very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.